Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali is in Nairobi for a state visit. He met with President Uhuru Kenyatta just a short while ago. The Prime Minister arrived on Sunday evening and was officially welcomed to the capital on Monday. He and Kenyatta are discussing tensions along the Kenyan-Ethiopian border, regional security and trade. Ahead of their meeting, Kenya's government spokesperson discussed the importance of ties between the two countries.
Kenya and Ethiopia have enjoyed strong bilateral relations, and these have been deepened further by the special status agreement between the two countries. Kenya and Ethiopia are also key partners in seeking to secure peace and security in the region. Both have committed resources and troops to the cause of finding sustainable peace in Somalia, as well as seeking a path for peace and stability in our northern neighbor, South Sudan. As you can imagine, therefore, the Prime Minister and the President will have bilateral and regional issues as a dominant issue during their official talks.
Well, tackling cross-border tension is likely to be high on the agenda for the Kenyan and Ethiopian leaders. Prime Minister Ahmed's visit to Nairobi comes amid reports of fresh inter-ethnic clashes in the border town of Moyale. There are reports of heavy casualties and residents fleeing into the Kenyan side of the town. Clashes between the Oromo and Ger groups have been continuing for months, and Ethiopia's new Prime Minister is under pressure to promote unity in a country rocked by anti-government protests since 2015. Well, let's get you more now on the visit by Ethiopia's Prime Minister to Kenya. I'm joined by CGTN's reporter, Voldi Carosa. Voldi, as we heard there, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali has been welcomed to Nairobi. What's the latest you have?
Well, that official welcome here in the capital of Kenya included a full guard of honor as well as a 21-gun salute earlier this morning. He and President Uhuru Kenyatta and their delegation of ministers then proceeded for a closed-door bilateral talks that will, of course, as mentioned, focus on regional integration, trade, as well as regional security. Now, you'll probably know that they will focus on the deepening of that special status agreement that already exists between the two countries. But you know that Ethiopia is one of Africa's fastest growing economy, the fourth largest in sub-Saharan Africa, and certainly Kenya can benefit from that. That's something that will be high on the agenda. But you'll know that Ahmed has already visited Djibouti, and just last week he was in Sudan, acquiring stakes in both of those ports. So certainly clear signs that regional engagement and diplomacy within East Africa is high on his agenda as well, Karen.
And Voldi, there are, of course, fresh concerns of inter-ethnic violence along the border. How high on the agenda is security likely to be in the talks between the Prime Minister and President Kenyatta?
Well, given the trouble in Moyale, just reported overnight that there is fresh fighting in the town. You remember earlier this year, 9 people were killed there during a botched military operation that saw thousands flee the fighting into Kenya. Certainly that is something that both the leaders will want to discuss, bringing peace and stability. Also in Ethiopia, they might touch on the state of emergency that's still in that country. It's something Ahmed hasn't talked about in any of his visits, not in Djibouti, not in Sudan, and also not when he was visiting the country after his swearing in. But I think that they'll want to focus on those simmering tensions on the border between Ethiopia and Kenya and what can be done. As you heard a little bit earlier, they have been partners in securing regional stability, particularly in Somalia, investing resources, investing money in the fight against terrorism. So that is something they can count as a success there. They've obviously been partners in trying to resolve the ongoing crisis in South Sudan. I do think that these regional security concerns will be something that will be under discussion, certainly something they'll want to delve into deeper.
Okay, thank you for that. That was Volti Caroso there with that update in Kenya.